You might not know this, most likely you don't, but I have a bit of a problem with online lessons. I don't have any problem with people who do online lessons. I don't have any problem with people who have online businesses, including of online education. No problem whatsoever. My problem is really with the lessons themselves. Let me explain. So here's the thing. A while ago, maybe 2 years ago, I recorded a bunch of online lessons, the good old YouTube drum lesson. I did those, I put them online, people watched them, some videos got thousands of views. It was awesome. Until I realized that those were not lessons. My issue with it is that these are demonstrations of concepts. These are not drum lessons. A lesson implies interaction. A lesson implies keeping the feedback loop open, and YouTube lessons keep the feedback loop closed. Now, is that the teacher's fault? Not really, it's just the platform doesn't really allow for anything better than that. Is there a solution for that problem? A bunch of websites out there more and more do online lessons. I'm not referring just to drum lessons, I'm referring to online education, period. You've got Drumeo, you've got Mike'sLessons.com, you've got Udemy. So all these people are doing online lessons, which is awesome, and I'll tell you why. There's something that I love about online education, which is access. It gives access to so many people. It just gives access to education to people that otherwise wouldn't have it. Now that's awesome. The problem is, how does one manage millions of students? In other words, how do you go about helping those people individually? See, this idea of the one teacher for the many is great because it gives access, because it allows the teacher to reach more people, because it allows for more revenue, etc., etc. But it doesn't really allow those 1 million people to access you per se. So they don't really have access to asking you questions. They don't really have access to being taught the way that works for them. So there's a massive churn rate. Most people, and the percentage is huge by the way, drop out of these online courses as quickly as they open their fridge door to get some ice cream. It's crazy, and people drop out for two reasons mainly. One, because there is no peer pressure. In a normal school environment, there's classmates, there's colleagues, there's an atmosphere that doesn't really agree with you just one day leaving. The other reason is because most people really feel disconnected when it comes to those online courses. They feel like they are accessing this vault of knowledge, but they are not really being taught. They're just being shown what to do. We have to, as educators, put our minds together and solve this problem. I've been thinking about it and I might have an idea. So I've been thinking, how can we close that feedback loop? How can we still have the one teacher for the many and yet pay attention to every single student individually? How can we keep track of their progress? How can we make sure that they are learning the way that works for them and not the way that they think they should be learning? So how can we do that when, of course, the internet, as we know it, doesn't really allow for that? So this might be controversial, and this is definitely the first time, but not the last time, I will mention this. I'm talking about artificial intelligence, of course. Alright, so before you start freaking out, I'm not talking about robots, I'm not talking about cyborgs, I'm not talking about any weird, world domination kind of situation here. I'm talking about a software that allows students to have a private coach. Now, this private coach is not just a machine, it's an intelligent machine. It's a machine that will understand emotion, learning methods, it will understand how to interact with the students and that student specifically. So what I'm talking about here is of course the one teacher for the many, and that teacher is of course the content creator, and then the students will be assigned a coach. And this assistant coach, if you will be an AI entity. This is the only way we can sustain teaching so many people at once, without at least ripping them off. Because that's my problem with online lessons, you see, is that it's one-sided. I put an online lesson out there and that's it. You, the consumer, look at it, you learn from it, you try to emulate it, and then you'll never know if you're going down the correct route. You'll just kind of interpret it as you wish, and that's dangerous. So here's my challenge. I challenge everyone who produces online content, just like me, to come up with a solution, to partner with a company, to do something in order to close the feedback loop. We are missing this interaction with students, and that is the sole reason why I stopped doing online drum lessons. The last drum lesson that I posted was like a year ago, and before that was like a year before that. So I'm not really into the whole one-sided relationship, look at this, now go home and do it all wrong, or however you want to do it. Point being that we must stay on the student side. This can't become about the teachers, that's just ridiculous. If we suddenly become the stars, then we are kind of defeating the purpose of education. So let's get together, let's think about this, let's research how AI can help us provide access and still provide guidance. Not just access, but guidance. Toodles.